Yes, sir.
Hey, Jay. I'm not here to ask you any Q&A questions, but like a few days ago, you said something positive about Nick Fuentes, about the fact that he basically told young people to just like get wealthy, basically.
Well, he said to not, if you're going to engage in political action, don't be an active political revolutionary. Take time to build wealth and build up your power base over time. And in 20 years, right wing stuff could take back America. I agree with that point, sure.
Yeah, fair. I agree with that as well. So it's not that big of a deal. But lately, like I've seen a lot of ortho bros saying, yeah, well, look, Nick Fuentes and all the Reupers are so based and stuff, and some of them associate with him. But I don't think we should forget the fact that Nick Fuentes himself said that Constantinople fell, and that's why.
Bronco sent $10. The Catholic Church helped the Ottomans sack Constantinople and killed 40 Christians, and that's not the only time they helped Muslims. Your geopolitics is fantastic, but your Christian theology is utter dog shit.
Yeah, you lost. This is just this is like when Southerners talk about the North. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to explain to you. In life, there are winners and losers. There are leaders and followers.
Yeah, I know, and I said that I disagree with that. I've critiqued that stuff. Critique the trads and oh, he's not a trad though. Okay, well, all the Roman Catholic sphere gets critiqued like nonstop, and that includes the Reupers as well.
Yeah, and I find it like such a bad argument because first and foremost, like Constantinople was at the time of the fall.
Uniate.
Uniate, yeah.
Right.
And if that was an argument, then
Catholicism falls. Right.
Yeah, like the sack of Rome in 410 AD, Pope Gregory VII dying in exile in Salerno, the entirety of the investiture controversy.
Exactly. all of these political losses would then mean that Catholicism is false.
Yeah, they're wrong.
Also, by the way, the irony is that if you read the City of God, St. Augustine is refuting the pagan argument that Rome in the West fell because of adopting Catholicism. And Augustine's whole argument in Apologetic and City of God is that you can't judge worldly success or defeat as the definitive thing that tells you which religion is true or false. So they're actually making the pagan argument, which is so silly.
Yeah, like even Augustine, who's basically one of their most accepted church fathers.
Right.
He places this view, so it doesn't make any sense.
And essentially, this girl today that I was replying to, she's just kind of making another variation on that argument. Look, the Roman Catholic Church has so much money to put into this classic architecture and so much poetry. An odd choice to argue that having a lot of poetry makes. I mean,
dude,
okay, but whatever. And then she points to stuff like, St. Peter's Basilica and other like beautiful things. And it's like, yeah, but the actual modern day last 70 years of Catholicism is this, which is this hideous modernist abstract, garbage.
Protestant-looking garbage churches. Yeah,
that's very widespread now. So if the argument is that the religion that preserves aesthetics is the one that's true, oh well, then I guess Orthodoxy is true. So
well, look at.
But I'm sorry, I thought you were done. I didn't mean to cut you off. You're welcome to come back anytime. Petros, what's up?
Hey Jay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to add to what the last guy said, I think people have, and obviously Nick's no exception. I think people just have a really hard time, if they were brought up Catholic or Oriental or whatever, they have a really hard time accepting that whatever church they were brought up in is not actually the true Church of Jesus Christ. And it would be nice for Nick. I think it's interesting how he can and I am a fan of Nick. I won't, deny that. And as of lately, I've been watching a lot more of his content, but it would be nice to see him do a deep dive into the history of the Catholic Church, like he did with, like Tucker Carlson's past and, the whole history of Israel and its ties to Russia and America. So I just think a lot of people have problems accepting that, whatever church, whether you're Baptist or whatever, it's just, I think just people just, they just want to reject that, and they kind of are in denial about it. But
yes, that's called
yeah.
sunken cost fallacy, right? You're wedded to it. You're raised with it. It's your heritage.
Right.
And that's, I think, most people's attachments, are not on the basis of logic and reasoning. And think, for example, another way to see this is the stats on the people that convert out of Islam. Like, you can sit here and argue with these people about the Islamic dilemma and the contradictions in the Quran until you're blue in the face. Most people that leave Islam, it's because of the child bride, Muhammad with a 9-year-old or whatever, right?
Right.
That's the
yeah.
main. So that's the main reason why people convert out of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's. I mean, those are good enough reasons, I guess, to convert out of Islam. But it's like there's so much better ways of figuring out which religions are true, like the ways that we go about it. By the way, I think that the advantage of the way that we go about it, with the really heavy focus on the philosophy, the theology, and the history, is that you get a more solid, grounded convert. The people that convert out of I prayed the rosary and I felt emotions, or whatever, like that's really not a whole lot different than the people who go to the charismatic megachurch and they raise their hands and they give their life to Jesus at the megachurch because they felt something. It's like, well, okay, that's going to come and go. And then what happens when you're not feeling it anymore, right? So you get a very quick turnover, I think, especially in the megachurches, or people that are emotionally driven to convert. And I think in the cases, for example, of the handful of people that we know about from, say, the Discord or wherever over the last 7 years, and it's literally only a handful that we know of that became Orthodox, usually not for but a few months or a year, or they became a catechumen, and then they became Roman Catholic, right? There's a handful of those. In almost every case that I'm aware of, the people would explicitly say, I met a girl, I'm going to go to Rome. I prayed the rosary, I felt Mary. And it's like, that's no different than when Mormons say you'll feel the burning in your bosom. That's not a good reason to convert. And sad thing, with that kind of stuff is like, those kind of people are going to be in something else in the next 5 years. FDA, did you want to say something about that?
Sorry, repeat the question.
It's okay. I mean, just I'm sure you would agree that, like, it's not that you have to be into theology and philosophy and apologetics to convert, but you're going to be better grounded if you are, because when you're faced with challenges from opposing positions, if you, say, converted to Catholicism because you, quote, prayed the rosary and had a strong feeling, what happens when the feelings are gone and you're challenged, right? That's a weak basis for why you converted.
Yeah. Remember we had that girl that...
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she apostatized, but I got a feeling... Isn't that terrible? Can you imagine?
Well, it's like the Mormons that say burning.
Decisions,
it's the Mormon burning in the bosom.
It's burning the bosom. Well, and it's actually like New Age.
Yeah,
what did the New Age people come in like? Oh, I took this psychedelic and I had an experience and feeling.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's called delusion.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to, but it helps. I mean, if you bless her, the pure of heart. Obviously, that girl had some vices in her, so it's never just like, I don't think she made an intellectual mistake, like, oh, I just didn't calculate the formula correctly.
Right.
People who do that, there's something in them that's vicious, like, in terms of vice, like, because the pure of heart wouldn't do that. However, we all have vices in us, so one way to kind of overcome that is be reasonable. Like, learn the stuff, be like, hey, maybe burning in the bosom isn't a good epistemic kind of guide.
Right.
Yeah, so it helps. It's not necessary, but like it's a good.
Yeah.
There are multiple goods, and there's lots of things you can do to help your way in life and get closer to God. That's one of them.
John, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, like you were saying about the girl today, No, she's a Latin master. And the guy who called in earlier asking about the set of Acontis, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I heard static. But, yeah, so Latin masters ignore the rest of the church, if anybody doesn't know that. And they create a bubble for themselves. And so they can have appealing aesthetics and beauty all day long because they don't go to, you know, the
hip hop mass or the clown mass.
Yeah, and they don't go to the 1970s evangelical model Catholic Church with the brutalist architecture. And so it's like a cult of aesthetics and a cult of like nostalgia in a way, because that is unfortunately for the people who subscribe to that, that's not even the church they exist in, which we've talked about many times before. Like the church that they subscribe to is the Pope Francis Church, is the Skittles Church. So they've created like this little side bubble for themselves.
Yeah, which, by the way, Francis and even still they're persecuting and shutting down. Right.
Yeah, they don't. I don't even think they allow Latin Mass priests to say prayers in the Vatican. I'm being serious. So the other part of it is that it's a very weird disconnect in the mind where, and I know you're aware of this because you went through it too, is you think you can just like pretend that doesn't exist, and that one day the the Latin Mass is going to come back and that's going to change everything. And it's funny because I actually saw a comment on something that I've said for years, where somebody said it in one of the comments on Twitter about the exchange, and it was that it's almost like the people back in the day, and you guys remember this, I'm sure even Father Deacon grew up where I grew up, so the South will rise again bumper stickers.
Yeah. Right? I mean, you still see that in Tennessee, yeah.
I'm sure you still see it out there, but yeah, that's the mentality. Is one day the South will rise again, and that's kind of like that. That's really the set of a contest kind of mindset. It's a similar mindset.
Yeah, look at these beautiful Roman Catholic churches. This, the beauty of Rome here. Wow. Yikes. Concrete spaceships is basically what this is.